Hello dear students, I welcome you for this next lecture of the subject cell biology. Today we are going to deal with chapter number 4, that is nucleus. So before starting with today's lecture, let's take a brief recap of the previous lecture. So in the previous lecture we have studied the last organelle of endomembrane system, that is lysosome, in which we have studied the discovery, location, structure and functions of the lysosome. The study objectives for today's lecture are to understand the discovery of nucleus, size, shape, number and position of the nucleus, and ultrastructure of the nuclear membrane and nuclear pore complex. So we all know that this nucleus is one of the important organelle which is present in the eukaryotic cell. So if this is a cell, you have this nucleus located most of the time at the centrally, but it is not so that it is always present in the center. And this nucleus comprises of the genetic material of the cell in the form of DNA and RNA. Let us discuss the discovery of this cell organelle, that is nucleus. So this nucleus was first discovered and named by the scientist Robert Brown in the year 1883 in the plant cell. So he observed the nucleus for the first time in plant cells. It was further described by M.J. Schleiden in the year 1938. Term nucleolus. Now inside the nucleus there is another oval structure that is called as nucleolus. That term was coined by the scientist Baumann in the year 1840. Now this nucleus is the largest of all the cell organelles, and the study of nucleus is called as karyology. So among all the organelles which we have studied, nucleus is the largest cell organelle, and the study of the nucleus is called as karyology because nucleus is known by another name, that is karyon. So it was Robert Brown in the year 1831 who was first observed the nucleus in the plant cell. Now let us get introduced with this organelle, that is nucleus. So nucleus in Latin, nux means nut. So this is also it is referred to as the heart of the cell. So nucleus is also called as a heart of the cell because here the important material of the cell, that is DNA, is situated, and the replication and transcription of the DNA takes place inside the nucleus. So since DNA, which is situated in the nucleus, which is responsible for controlling the different metabolic activities of the cell by the virtue of hereditary activities of the cell, so it is a very important part of the cell. Therefore the nucleus can also be called as a control center of the cell. Now this nucleus has another name, that is called as karyon, which is a Greek word. So nucleus is also known by another word or another term, that is known as karyon. Now nucleus is the important distinguishing features between eukaryotic cell and prokaryotic cell, because we know that the eukaryotic cell, here U means true and karyon means nucleus. So eukaryotic cell have the nucleus, whereas prokaryotic cell, they do not have the nucleus. Now if we see the detailed structure of the nucleus, it comprises of a double membrane bound organelle. So the nucleus on its outer side has a double membrane structure. It contains the genetic information in the form of DNA and RNA, which controls metabolism, growth and differentiation of the cell. Therefore, nucleus can also be called as control center of the cell. Yes, it is found only in the eukaryotic cell, that is plant cell, animal cell or fungi cell it is present, whereas nucleus is absent in some of the eukaryotic cells like mature sieve tube cells of higher plants and mammalian erythrocytes, that is RBCs, and in the prokaryotic cell, that means in bacteria, these nucleus is absent. Now most of the time nucleus is located in the center of the cell, but its position may change from time to time according to metabolic state of the cell. So it is not always that nucleus is located at the center of the cell. Now in this picture we can see the structure of the nucleus. So nucleus it has a double layer nuclear envelope. On this nuclear envelope you will find many holes. These are called as nuclear pores. Now we know that these nuclear pores, they are attached with the endoplasmic reticulum, that is rough endoplasmic reticulum. Inside, if we see the inside of the nucleus, you will find all the genetic material of the cell, that is DNA, is present in a highly condensed form. That thread like structure is known as chromatin. So DNA is present in a condensed state, that is called as chromatin thread. If we see this nucleus in a cross section, we can see inside the nucleus you have another oval body, that is known as nucleolus. You have these thread like structures, that is nothing but a genetic material, that is chromatin. Now the nuclear envelope is a double layer structure, and in between you will find there are gaps which are nothing but nuclear pores. Now what are the different functions of the nucleus? First of all, it stores the hereditary material of the cell, that is DNA. So if someone asks you where is DNA located, it is situated inside the nucleus. And in what form DNA is present? It is present in the condensed state, that is chromatin thread. It is only during the process of cell division this condensed chromatin thread is converted in the form of chromosomes. Second important function, this nucleus is a site of DNA replication. So where does DNA replication takes place? Inside the nucleus. Also it acts as a site of DNA transcription. So what is mean by transcription? When DNA is converted into mRNA, that process is called as a transcription. Further, this mRNA is converted into protein, that process is called as a translation. And together this transcription and translation is called as central dogma of the life. What is mean by central dogma? That means that important reactions required for the survival of the life. Ribosome formations. Yes, so the ribosome formation also takes place inside the nucleus. The next function of the nucleus is it controls or coordinates all the cell's important activities, that is growth, metabolism, protein synthesis and cell division, because since the genetic material of the cell, that is DNA, is present in the nucleus, it can carry out the gene expression, and hence it is responsible for maintaining all the important properties of the cell. We come to the next point, that is size and shape of the nucleus. So what is the size and shape of the nucleus? First of all, the shape of the nucleus is related to the shape of the cell. So depending on the cell shape, the nucleus shape will also varies. In certain cells, like you will have the nucleus which is irregular in shape. In certain isodiametrical shaped cells, you find the nucleus in a spherical shape. Then you will find ellipsoidal shaped nucleus in cylindrical, prismatic or fusiform type of the cell. So depending on the shape of the cell, the shape of the nucleus will also change. Further, nucleus may be bilobed or it may be multilobed. Say for example WBCs, which are also called as leukocytes. In this type of the cells, you will have nucleus which may have two lobes, that means bilobed, or you may have multiple lobes, that is called as a multilobed nucleus. Also, the size of the nucleus is related with the number of chromosomes present in the cell. So in a haploid cell, the nucleus is smaller in size, whereas the nucleus is larger in shape in the diploid cell. I hope you understand the difference between haploid and a diploid cell. Haploid means having a single set of chromosome, and diploid means double the number of chromosomes. So haploid cell is denoted by N and diploid cell is denoted by 2N. Now size of the nucleus is also dependent upon the volume of the cell, as well as amount of DNA present in the cell, proteins present, and metabolic phase of the cell. So all these factors will also govern the size and shape of the nucleus. So how does the size of the nucleus depends upon these factors is expressed numerically by an equation, and that is called as a nucleoplasmic index. So this nucleoplasmic index denoted by NP is equal to Vn upon Vc minus Vn. Here NP means nucleocytoplasmic index, Vn means volume of the nucleus, and Vc means volume of the cell. Now let us study the occurrence and position of the nucleus. Usually in a cell, normally we have one nucleus present in each cell, but that is not the rule. In certain cell, they may have more than one nucleus. For example, liver cell, they have two nucleus, so they are called as binucleated. The muscle cells have many nucleus, so they are called as multinucleated cells. In this picture you can see a binucleated cell having two nucleus. You have four nucleus as well in a single cell, or you have a multiple nucleus present in a cell as well. So accordingly, if single nucleus is present in a cell, that cell is called as a mononucleated cell. If two nuclei are present in a single cell, it is called as a binucleated cell. If more than two nucleus are present in a cell, it is called as polynucleated cell. And there are certain cells which are called as a syncytial cells in animals. The examples are the osteoblast and striated muscle fibers. Now let us understand the detailed ultrastructure of the nucleus. As we know that nucleus is the largest cell organelle of the cell. If we see the diameter, it has approximately 6 micrometer in diameter, and it occupies about 10% of the entire volume of the cell. So a large amount of portion is occupied by the nucleus. Now let us see the different parts present in the nucleus. So the nucleus has this outer envelope which is called as a nuclear envelope. Inside the nuclear envelope there is another layer called as a nuclear lamina. Now these pores present on the outer nuclear envelope, they are called as nuclear pores. This nuclear pore has a very complex structure that is called as nuclear pore complex. Now like we have cytoplasm in the cell, the nucleus has a liquid material, gel-like material, that is called as a nucleoplasm, or it is also called as nuclear sap or nuclear matrix. Then we have chromatin fibers or chromatin threads, that is nothing but the DNA of the cell which is present inside the nucleus. Along with this chromatin thread, there is another oval structure present in the nucleus, that is called as nucleolus. So in this lecture we will study the first three, or rather first nuclear envelope and nuclear pore complex. So let us see the structure of nuclear envelope. So this nucleus has two layers present around itself, and these two layers together is called as a nuclear envelope. So nuclear envelope is a bi-layer structure, and this is the outermost covering of the nucleus. It separates the nucleoplasm from the cytoplasm, because we know that this nucleus is present in the cell, and in the cell we have the cytoplasm. So these nuclear membranes separate the cytoplasm from the nucleoplasm, that is the liquid material of the nucleus. So by forming a barrier between cytoplasm and nucleus, the free entry of the molecules from cytoplasm to the nucleus is prevented. So large macromolecules cannot easily enter into the nucleus. Further, this nuclear envelope is divided into two membranes, that is inner membrane. So you will have this inner line is nothing but inner membrane, and this outer line is nothing but the outer membrane. So nuclear envelope is made up of two membranes, inner membrane and outer membrane, and it acts as a covering of the nucleus, and it separates cytoplasm from the nucleoplasm. Now these two membranes, that is inner and outer membrane, they are arranged parallel to one another. So you can see, if we take a small section of this nuclear envelope and enlarge here, we can find that there is an inner membrane. So this is inner membrane and this is the outer membrane. They are arranged parallel to one another. Now these membrane, each membrane have a thickness of 70 to 80 angstrom, and this nuclear membrane, as like the plasma membrane of the cell, they are also made up of the lipoproteins. What is lipoproteins? Means lipid plus proteins. So the proteins are in large number, that is 59 to 75% are proteins, and only 17 to 35% are the lipids. Now if we see, there is a small space between these two membranes. That space is called as perinuclear space, and it is 150 angstrom in the width. This perinuclear space is filled with a fluid, and this fluid is in contact with the outer endoplasmic reticulum, because we know that from these nuclear pores it is connected with the endoplasmic reticulum. Now it is the outer membrane of the nuclear envelope which is connected with the endoplasmic reticulum, and you can see these yellow dots shown in this picture are nothing but the ribosomes. So these small yellow dots are nothing but the ribosomes which are attached to the outer nuclear envelope, and you could see there are large yellow structures. These are nothing but nuclear pores. Yes, so this outer membrane is discontinuous at some places. So you could see there is a break in the nuclear envelope, and that break is nothing but that is called as a nuclear pore. Now let us study the structure of the nuclear pores. So as we have seen that this nuclear envelope is not continuous. You can see in between there are gaps, and these gaps are nothing but the nuclear pores. They are very large in number, and the number may depend upon the species of the animal as well as the type of the cell which is present in the different organ. For example, in mammalian cell we have around 3000 to 4000 pores present in the nucleus. Now if we see the detailed structure of this nuclear pore, it can be seen as a octagonal in shape due to presence of 8 granules arranged symmetrically. So there you could see there are 8 edges, and this is octagonal in shape, and this single piece is called as a granule. Now what is the role of these nuclear pores in the nucleus? These nuclear pores, they act like doors or the gates. So by the help of these nuclear pores, whatever material that is synthesized in the nucleus in the form of different proteins, ribosomes, they will come out of these nuclear pores outside to the cytoplasm. Similarly, whatever materials that are required inside the nucleus from cytoplasm, they will go or they will enter from cytoplasm, and they will go inside the nucleus. So there are certain proteins which are required inside the nucleus for the DNA replication and transcription process. So these proteins, they are actually synthesized in the cytoplasm of the cell, and then they will enter through the nuclear pores and go inside the nucleus. Similarly, the ribosome is synthesized in the nucleus. Also RNA and certain other proteins are synthesized in the nucleus. So these ribosome, RNA and proteins, they will come out from the nuclear pores and into the cytoplasm. So these nuclear pores, they act like gates for the entry and exit of the molecules. So even mRNA, tRNA and ribosomes are synthesized in the nucleus. So remember that along with ribosomes, mRNA and tRNA, they are also synthesized in the nucleus, and then they will come out through the nuclear pores into the cytoplasm. This is the actual electron micrograph of the nucleus. So here you can see this is the nucleus, and on the surface of this nucleus there are many minute holes. These are called as a nuclear pores. Now these nuclear pores, they have a very complex structure, and that complex structure is called as nuclear pore complex. So if we see from the outside, this nuclear pore appear circular in surface view, and it has a diameter of 10 nanometer to 100 nanometer. Further, it was earlier believed that there is some amorphous fibrillar material, that means fiber like material, is present throughout the nuclear pore that does not allow the free entry of the molecules from inside to outside of the nuclear pore. However, later a detailed study was done and the detailed structure of the nuclear pore complex was given. So, such a diagram is called as an annulus and has been observed in the animal cell, but it is absent in the plant cell. Recent electron microscope studies show that nuclear pore is very complex structure, and therefore this structure is called as a nuclear pore complex. Nuclear pore structure is also called as nuclear pore complex, and each pore complex has a molecular weight of 50 to 100 million Daltons. So, single nuclear pore structure which is called nuclear pore complex has molecular weight of 50 to 100 Daltons. Now, let us understand the detailed structure of a single nuclear pore, which is called nuclear pore complex. Now, if we see this detailed structure, we could find that a single nuclear pore has a symmetry which is octagonal. So, you could see octagonal symmetry of the nuclear pore, in which you have the structure quite similar to that of the cycle wheel. You will see there are two rings and there are spoke like structures present, right. So, these two rings, round rings, are called as R rings. These are called as R rings, or they are also called as annuli. And the inner diameter of these ring is 80 nanometer. So, this diameter is 80 nanometer. The entire diameter of this nuclear pore complex is 120 nanometer. Now, at the center you will find a opening or a hole that is present, and it is plugged with a particle. So, this pore which is plugged by a granule like particle is called as a central granule or central plug. Now, this central hole or a pore has a diameter of 10 nanometer only, and this pore allows the water soluble molecules to move between the nucleus and cytoplasm. That means, whatever molecules which are coming out from the nucleus to the cytoplasm will move only from this small pore. Okay. And you could see there are these 8 spoke like structures that are also present in the structure of this nuclear pore complex, and these spoke like structures, they are called as radial spokes. Okay. So, you have a double ring structures, these two rings are called as R rings. These spoke like structures, they are called as spokes or radial spokes. At the center you have a minute pore which is plugged with a large central granule, or it is also called as a central plug, and which is nothing but a nuclear cortex. So, though the entire diameter of the nuclear pore complex is larger, but the actual entry and exit will take place through a very small opening which is hardly 9 nanometer wide, and that allows the entry and exit of the molecules. And these small pores are enclosed by the structures which are called as annuli. So, these annuli and pore together is called as a nuclear pore complex. Sometimes this pore complex is covered by a thin membrane which is also called as a septum, and it acts as a selective permeable membrane. So from the side view you could see this octagonal shape of the nuclear pore complex, which is further extended to form a basket like structure. So if you see the detailed structure inside, you could see a basket like structure present, that is called as a nuclear basket. So if we see the structure of these nuclear pore complex from the side view, we can see a basket like structure inside the nucleus, and this basket like structure is held in its position, and at the same time on the outer side, that is toward the cytosols or the cytoplasm side, you will find some filament like structures which are called as cytosolic filaments. Okay, so in the nuclear pore complex you will have this basket like structure which is called nuclear basket, and there are on the cytoplasm side you have some filament like structures called as cytosolic filaments. And where is this nuclear pore complex present? Where both the membranes are fused, at the junction you will have the formation of this nuclear pore complex. And both these nuclear basket as well as cytosolic filament, they are responsible for binding to the nuclear transport proteins. So they will attach to certain proteins, and which will help in the entry and exit of the molecules. So in this picture we can see how this nuclear pore complex is looks like from the side view. So here you could see the outer and inner envelope, and in between there is some gaps, and in that gap we have the nuclear pores, and this nuclear pore structure is complex called as a nuclear pore complex. And here we have this presence of the radial rings, spokes, then inside you have the presence of nuclear basket, and outer side you have the presence of cytosolic fragments or the cytosolic filaments. So with this we conclude today's lecture. In today's lecture we have understood the size and shape of the nucleus, that in some cells you have even more than one nucleus, such cells are called as binucleated cell. In certain cells you have multiple nucleus, they are called as polynucleated cells. We have understood the discovery of the nucleus. So it was Robert Brown who discovered the cell, this nucleus in the cell in plant cells. Then we have understood the structure of two important parts of the nucleus, that is nuclear envelope which is made up of two layers, the inner membrane and outer membrane. These two membranes, they are not continuous, but at some places they are forming gaps, and in these gaps you will have the presence of nuclear pores. Then we have studied the structure of nuclear pores. This nuclear pore structure is very complex, therefore it is also called as nuclear pore complex. So we have seen that in this nuclear pore complex it has a wheel with a spoke like appearance, in which there are two rings which are called as R rings or annuli, and at the center there is another particle that is called as a P particle, or it is also called central granule, and this central granule is the one which is responsible for the transfer of water soluble molecules from to and fro from nucleus to the cytoplasm. Further we have seen that this nuclear pore appears like a basket. It shows a basket like structure called as a nuclear basket, which is present towards the nuclear side, and on the cytoplasm side you have the presence of cytosolic filaments. So this is all about the structure of the nuclear envelope and the nuclear pore complex. In next lecture we will study the remaining parts of the nucleus, that is nuclear lamina, then nucleoplasm, and then we will study the structure of nucleolus and chromatin. So with this we conclude today's lecture. Thank you.